Amid the intertwined waves of globalization and geopolitical conflicts, the world's political and economic landscape is undergoing the most profound transformation since the end of the Cold War. Recently, a series of seemingly isolated international events, which are in fact closely interlinked, have been like boulders thrown into a tranquil lake, creating ripples that push the global situation into uncharted and uncertain waters. In this invisible battle, every decision and every confrontation is reshaping the underlying logic of the international order, and its far-reaching impact is likely to continue to ferment for decades to come. When Canadian Prime Minister Kearney's special plane sliced through the clouds over Washington, the entire international community held its breath. Behind this meeting, dubbed the meeting of the century by public opinion, lies years of diplomatic standoffs and political tug-of-wars. Since taking office, Trump has repeatedly and brazenly threatened in public to incorporate Canada into the United States as the 51st state. Such absurd remarks not only violate the norms of modern international relations, but also strike at the most sensitive nerve of Canadian national sovereignty. During the election campaign, Kearney won public support as a champion of sovereignty. He once passionately declared at a campaign rally, "The land of Canada runs with the blood of freedom and independence, and our sovereignty will not be coveted by any external force." Now, with this unwavering determination, he sets foot on American soil. Every word and every expression at the negotiation table could potentially be a key factor in altering the geopolitical landscape of North America. Just before the meeting, Trump's remarks in an NBC interview once again ignited the flames of public opinion. On one hand, he vowed with certainty that there will be no military action against Canada, while on the other hand, he emphasized that the annexation plan was inevitable. His so-called $200 billion subsidy theory attempts to disguise his political ambitions with economic arguments, but ignores the core demands of Canada as a sovereign nation. This typical business-oriented mindset seems completely out of place on the international political stage. From a historical perspective, although Canada and the United States share an 8,891-kilometer long border and are deeply intertwined economically, Canada has maintained its independent political identity since its founding in 1867. Whether it was their joint efforts in the two world wars or their cooperation under the North American Free Trade Agreement, Canada's foundation of sovereignty has remained unshaken. Now, Trump's attempt at annexation not only ignores Canada's century-long struggle for independence, but also blatantly challenges the principle of sovereign equality among nations established by the United Nations Charter. In this asymmetric game, despite the significant gap in national strength between Canada and the United States, the support of the people, the pressure of international public opinion, and Canada's unique position in the global supply chain all serve as important bargaining chips in Kearney's hands. International observers generally believe that this meeting could be a turning point in North American relations. Its outcome will not only determine the future direction of the two countries, but also provide important references for sovereign nations around the world in dealing with hegemonic threats. Kearney's re-election and the victory of the Labour Party led by Albanese in the Australian general election, those seemingly independent events, are in fact a collective vote by the world against Trump's policies. Analyzers by mainstream Western media point out that Trump's America First policies, using trade protectionism as a weapon and unilateralism as a shield, have triggered strong backlash globally. In Canada, Trump's trade war has severely damaged numerous manufacturing enterprises and driven up the cost of living for ordinary people. According to data from Statistics Canada, during the period of trade friction between Canada and the United States, Canada's agricultural exports suffered losses exceeding $5 billion Canadian dollars, and nearly 100,000 jobs in the automotive manufacturing industry were at risk. Such palpable pain has pushed Canadian public dissatisfaction with the Trump administration to a boiling point, ultimately translating into support for the Liberal Party. The situation in Australia is no different. As a major economy in the Asia-Pacific region, Australia relies on the global trade system for economic growth. Trump's tariff barriers and trade bullying have severely impacted Australia's agricultural exports and mining trade. During his campaign, Albanese clearly proposed to rebuild a fair trade order and promised to safeguard Australia's economic interests on the international stage, an idea that has resonated widely. In stark contrast to the situations in North America and Australia is the European situation. EU countries have adopted a more complex and delicate attitude when facing pressure from the United States. Established powers like Germany and France are reluctant to break completely with the United States while also trying to maintain independent stances on key issues. This ambivalent attitude has made it difficult for the Trump administration to achieve substantial breakthroughs in its diplomatic layout in Europe, further exacerbating the imbalance of its global strategy. The cracks in the US ally system are not only reflected at the political level, but also in the game of economic interests. According to an analysis by the International Monetary Fund (IMF), Trump's trade policies have slowed down global economic growth, causing US allies to suffer annual economic losses of over $100 billion. This self-defeating approach is gradually eroding the trust foundation that the United States has long built with its allies. Almost simultaneously with the US-Canada talks, a significant Asian cooperation showcase unfolded in Milan, Italy. The finance ministers and central bank governors from the 10 ASEAN countries and China, Japan, South Korea ASEAN +3 gathered at the annual meeting of the Asian Development Bank and jointly issued a statement, explicitly opposing trade barriers and calling for enhanced regional financial cooperation. The choice of Italy as the meeting location was laden with significance. As a member of the G7 and a major European economy, while Italy shares certain political stances with the Trump administration, it has its own independent economic and trade interests. Allowing the ASEAN +3 to issue an anti-trade protectionism statement on its soil can be seen as a silent protest by this old guard European power against the unilateral policies of the United States. The content of the statement directly targeted the flaws in US trade policies. Although no specific country was named, the implications were unmistakable. The statement emphasized upholding the multilateral trading order centered around the WTO and called for abandoning unilateralism and protectionism. These remarks were widely regarded as a direct response to Trump's tariff policies. Nikkei Asia commented, "This statement represents a collective stand by Asian countries against US trade bullying." What's more noteworthy is the revival and upgrade of the Chiang Mai Initiative. This financial cooperation mechanism, established during the Asian financial crisis, was given new significance at this meeting. The 13 countries decided to expand the size of the initiative's funds to $240 billion and streamline the emergency financing procedures. This move not only strengthens the financial safety net in Asia but also serves as a powerful complement to the US-dominated international financial system. The united actions of Asian countries signal a profound transformation in the global economic landscape. In the past, Asia often played a passive role in international affairs. Now, the ASEAN +3 has demonstrated through practical actions that Asian countries are fully capable of making their voices heard in global governance and building cooperation frameworks that serve their own interests. The strain in the relationship between the United States and its allies is particularly evident in the economic and trade realm. Since April 15th, the trade negotiations between the US and Japan, as well as between the US and South Korea, have reached an impasse. The core issue lies in the fact that the US demands significant market openings from its allies, while Japan and South Korea are reluctant to sacrifice the interests of their domestic industries. Behind this divergence is the fundamental conflict between the US's hegemonic logic and its allies' aspirations for independent development. Japan's diplomatic shift is of symbolic importance. Following the visit of the leader of Japan's Liberal Democratic Party to China, the Japanese Prime Minister's trip to China is now on the agenda. This diplomatic development sends a strong signal that, against the backdrop of the China-US rivalry, Japan is no longer willing to be a mere pawn of the United States. Instead, it is seeking to strike a strategic balance between the two major economies. Such a shift will not only impact the geopolitical landscape of East Asia but also have far-reaching implications for the US's Asia-Pacific strategy. Statistics show that 4 out of the 7 major US allies have shown significant divergences with the US on key issues. Canada resists annexation, Australia seeks strategic equilibrium, Japan adjusts its diplomatic orientation, and South Korea stands firm in trade negotiations. These phenomena collectively indicate that the traditional US alliance system is on the verge of collapse. Ironically, even a so-called conservative ally like Italy has tacitly approved of Asian countries criticizing US trade policies on its territory. This is ample evidence that the Trump administration's unilateral actions have drawn public condemnation from the international community. The Brookings Institution, a US think tank, warned, if the US fails to adjust its foreign policies in a timely manner, it will face the dual crises of a disintegrating alliance system and a decline in international influence. In the face of these drastic changes in the global landscape, China has encountered a rare strategic opportunity. From the shifts in public opinion in Canada and Australia to the collective actions of the ASEAN Plus 3 and the nuanced attitudes of European countries towards US policies, the international environment is evolving in a direction favorable to China. In terms of regional cooperation, China should further deepen its collaboration with the ASEAN Plus 3, promote the implementation of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership (RCEP), and accelerate the establishment of a free trade area of the Asia-Pacific. By enhancing infrastructure connectivity and deepening industrial chain cooperation, China can help build a more resilient regional economic community. In bilateral relations, China should actively expand areas of cooperation with countries like Canada and Australia. Despite existing political differences, the strong economic complementarity between them remains unchanged. Through cooperation in emerging fields such as green energy and the digital economy, it is possible to resolve conflicts and achieve mutual benefits. In the realm of global governance, China should take the initiative to shoulder its responsibilities as a major power and propose more solutions that align with the common interests of the international community. Whether it is promoting the reform of the WTO or participating in global climate governance, China should demonstrate a constructive attitude and contribute wisdom and strength to the building of a community with a shared future for mankind. With the formation of the new German government on the horizon, China should seize the opportunity to deepen cooperation with Germany in high-end manufacturing, scientific and technological innovation, and other fields. At the same time, through multilateral cooperation mechanisms, China can join forces with like-minded countries to jointly address global challenges and gradually break the US-dominated unilateral international order. Standing at a historical crossroads, the world is undergoing changes unseen in a century. In this global game, those who can adapt to the trends of the times and adhere to the concept of win-win cooperation will gain the upper hand in future international competition. As a responsible major power, China will move forward with a more open mindset and greater confidence, join hands with countries around the world, and jointly write a new chapter for the community with a shared future for mankind. Let us wait and see as a more just, inclusive, and prosperous international order gradually takes shape.